Distributed messaging is really quite a powerful concept. When applications started to get bigger and bigger, and so there was additional components added to it, you can think of it as if a piece of software was a company. So you've got different departments, and within that department, you've got different teams and things like that. It's sort of analogous to software, it sort of runs the same way. So you might have a component that's similar to a team, and then you'll have lots of components, and each department has their own components and things like that. And they need a way to sort of communicate. And this is sort of two pieces of software communicating with each other. When monolithic applications were popular, the way you would do that is you would just have one piece of software directly speak to another piece of software. And that works great. But as things started to get bigger and more complex, there became a need for visualizing or observability into that communication. So let's use, for example, you've got an e-commerce shop, and so someone registers on your website, and then they want to buy a pair of shoes or something like that. All the software needed to sort of do that passes information back and forth, probably information about the person buying the shoes, the shoe that they want to buy, the size. Then that information needs to go to fulfillment so that they can actually pull it off the shelf, put it in a box, ship it, all those types of things. So all those steps in that workflow or in that process to allow someone to buy something and get it delivered to their doorstep, that's the information that gets passed between those software systems to do all that. And so as those processes became more complex, observability was sort of needed to answer questions like, where is Josh's order in the process right now? What is it waiting on? Is it because we don't have the shoes in stock, or is it we need someone to physically actually go grab that shoe off of a rack and put it in a box? What is the status of Josh's order? So that's the type of observability that is given to you by using distributed messaging. When you have two systems talking to each other, if you put something in between those two things so that this system talks to the new third system, and the entire purpose of this third system is just to be the messaging between two systems. So in the example of ordering shoes online, when you register for an account on the shopping site, that would sort of send your information to this system. And then when you log in and go to add your shoes to your cart, that would send that same information to this same system. Whereas before, the individual components of that workflow were directly communicating. So there was nothing in between them. But by interjecting something called distributed messaging, it gives you a whole new level of capability. One, for observability, but it does a lot more. It can do things like, what if when you sort of add your shoe to your cart and you go to purchase, the message between the systems fails? So something happens. Either the internet went out in the data center, there's just tons of stuff that can sort of go wrong. So putting something in between lets you resend that message seamlessly so that you don't have to create all that logic yourself. Additionally, let's say you were using Shopify as your shopping cart, and then you wanted to switch to some competitor to Shopify. If you programmed all your systems to communicate directly with Shopify, you have to rewrite all those systems. Whereas if you use distributed messaging and distributed messaging was talking to Shopify, it's much easier to pull something like Shopify out and put something else in because of that. Those are just a sort of few things that distributed messaging can do, but it effectively became an absolute requirement due to the size of the systems being created today. When they were smaller and not as many people were using them and it weren't as complex, you could sort of get away with not using distributed messaging. But now, because they're so big, they span the globe, different data centers, you need something like distributed messaging to understand how that complex system works and how it's actually doing, what's the health of that system. So yeah, so those are just a couple things. The list is we could talk for days about how valuable distributed messaging is, but those are some of the high level things that affect us daily.